Hi, this is Jillian, and this is a speed paint I did for a YCH. And this is my character, the Magnificent Maiden, in her winter outfit. I'm also gonna share a few Christmassy type stories to get into the spirit. For the past couple of years, I've been doing more of the decorating around my parents' house. And this year, along with the other 2 years that I've helped more, it's been kind of a struggle to find certain decorations. And I think that's so odd. We put in the same spot every year, but for some reason, certain things it's harder to locate. Like, for example, this year I had a very hard time finding the nativity people, like Jesus, Mary, Joseph, the three kings, the shepherd and his sheep. We have one that we've had since I was a kid, and then we have a spare. Well, I managed to find the spare, so who knows where the older one is. I think that's funny. I don't know if it's because baby Jesus and the rest of the gang gets up and wanders off somewhere, or if we just move it and don't remember the next year where it is. One of the other things that we do that I think most people don't like, we put the trees up in a certain way. And we've got like a ton of trees. We've got like 3 trees in my parents' house. Sometimes more. And they're really pretty. It's sort of like Biltmore in a way. And there's decoration everywhere else. But, like, we put up the tree in a certain way. Like I said, we'll put down the Christmas skirt around the tree after fluffing it. Because you gotta fluff the tree so it doesn't look like it's half dead. Because we use fake trees. And then we put on the beads. If we put on beads, we don't always put on trees. And then we put on the tree topper, and then we put on the actual ornaments. And that's not how most people do. Most people put like the tree topper on last. But to me, it seems like it would jostle the ornaments, and the ornaments are more fragile than the tree topper that we have. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments down below what y'all do. By the way, the sound you hear kind of in the background is me knitting. I make a lot of my Christmas gifts as like crafty stuff. And I do all kinds of crafts. I can do drawings and paintings, but I also like to knit and wood burn. And like let me tell y'all, I use a loom for my knitting. It makes it a lot easier. And like I started off with the typical, hats, scarves, that type of thing. And at some point, about 6 years ago, I had some spare, pretty multicolored yarn left over from one of the scarves I was making. And there wasn't enough to make a full scarf. But I didn't want to waste this pretty yarn. So I started trying to make something out of this spare yarn, and I just sort of made this random dragon with no pattern, and like every time I make a dragon, or almost every time I make it, it becomes more elaborate. Like I've done Brayog from Flight of the Dragons, which like took me like 3 months to do because it was huge and I was figuring out a few things. And then I've done a Maleficent for my aunt. And I've done like even a Loch Ness monster type with like flippers. And the flippers are the devil to do because you have to get them the same. Like I said, I don't have a pattern. It's just something that that I sort of have somehow or other managed to do. I still don't really have a pattern for it, but I kind of know in my head if I make the body X amount of pegs long, the neck needs to be this many pegs long or wide, and so forth. So, yeah, I like to craft about 6 years ago. Or 7 years ago. It might have been longer than that. I was working at a craft store. I'm not going to say which one. During the season, and I wanted to get into the spirit of Christmas a bit more. And that was my solution to get back into this childhood spirit of Christmas, to craft. And I love to craft, and it does make me feel more Christmassy because I feel like a crafted gift has more thought and time put into it. Not that I don't appreciate store-bought. I appreciate anything anybody gives me. But, like, for me personally, it means more to give somebody something that I made. If y'all decide to get a loom, I highly recommend not to get a off-brand, store-brand type loom because I've gotten those and they are crapola. They're not worth your time or money. Those pegs will break. Like, even if because the tension in the yarn is so tight to get it up and over the pegs, it's hard. And I don't know if it's because of how I use my looms. I usually use my looms to make the dragons and stuff. In order to do the dragons and stuff, I have to have multiple strands of yarn, even if I was to use like the looms that are made for lighter weight yarn. I still think I would want to have multiple strands just to make the knit a bit stronger and more durable. And so just the standard looms work fine for that. But get the name brand looms. The one I use is the BOYE, not sponsored by the way, but that's what I use. And I've really enjoyed it. They've stayed good. I've only had one break on me before, and that was my own stupid fault. Do not super glue your pegs in, by the way. Do not repeat after me. Do not do it. It just ends badly. But anyway, another Christmas tradition that we started not too long ago. Several years ago, my brother went with my aunt to pick up some bakery cookies from a local bakery, and she didn't get that many cookies. I don't remember how many she got, but she got like a couple gingerbread and some sugar cookies, like maybe 2 dozen worth of cookies. And it was like $50 for these cookies. Now, they're really good cookies. And they were really pretty. But he was like shocked, and my brother suggested making cookies for the next year. So I made cookies, like all kinds. I made some gingerbread, like one batch. I made 2 batches of Marble Klecks cookies, which is like a German butter cookie. It's more or less butter rolled in sugar. And then I made some chocolate chip. And I baked, and then we all sat down and decorated. Of course, the next year, he got tired of it, or the year after that. And now it's been my mom, my aunt, myself, and a friend decorating the sugar cookies. And usually my friend helps bake if she can. So that's one good thing. And she takes like a stash of them home, but I make enough cookies that really doesn't matter. Like there's plenty of cookies. Anyway, let me know some of your all's favorite traditions or some funny stories about your all's Christmas season. And I wish you the merriest. Please subscribe and have a nice one.